All right, so have you ever, like, looked down at your keyboard and thought, why? Why are the keys like this?
You mean the QWERTY layout? Yeah, it's pretty much it's everywhere, right?
Right, it's on our phones, our computers, and we kind of accept it.
But there's this whole like this idea that QWERTY is actually, bad, like it's holding us back.
Yeah, like we could be typing way faster,
Yeah.
but we're stuck with this relic, this ancient thing.
Exactly. And there's this other keyboard layout, the Dvorak, that people say is like way more efficient.
Yeah, right, like way better.
Yeah.
So for this deep dive, we're going to take a look at all this whole QWERTY versus Dvorak thing and see what's really going on. We've got some excerpts from QWERTY.pdf. It's by Professor J. Christopher Westland. And it gets into all of this, and it kind of makes you think about all these like common knowledge ideas we just kind of accept without really questioning them.
Yeah, for sure. It's like with lighthouses, right?
Yeah.
The classic example of a natural monopoly, something that the government just has to run, right? Because it's like this public service, for ships and all that.
Right.
But, a lot of those early lighthouses were actually private. Like ship owners would pay fees, like a subscription to use them.
Interesting.
So yeah, so much for that natural monopoly idea.
So maybe we shouldn't be so quick to just believe those, the easy explanations, especially with something like the QWERTY keyboard, right? Because the story we always hear is that QWERTY was like deliberately designed to be inefficient.
Yeah, like to slow typists down and prevent those old typewriters from jamming.
Right, exactly. And then that created this lock-in effect, right? Where QWERTY became, so widespread that nobody wanted to switch to something new, even if it was better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even once typewriters, got better, got past the jamming issue, it was just too hard to get everybody to learn a whole new layout.
Right. The switching costs were just too high. But now I'm wondering, is that really the whole story? Professor Westland, he mentions these two economists, Stan Leibowitz and Stephen Margolis, and they really went deep on this QWERTY versus Dvorak thing, and they have some pretty interesting findings.
Oh yeah, they really challenge that idea that Dvorak is like objectively better.
Okay.
One of the big things that people, point to is this US Navy study. It's from 1944, and it seemed to show that Dvorak typists were like way faster than QWERTY typists.
I have heard about that study.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
That study was actually run by Lieutenant Commander August Dvorak, the guy who patented the Dvorak keyboard.
Ah. So there might have been a little bit of
Yeah, a little conflict of interest there, maybe.
yeah, maybe a little bias. Okay, so that study's a little suspect. But surely there were other studies, right?
There were actually, and some of them they kind of contradicted that Navy study. For example, there was one in 1956. It was done by the General Services Administration, and it found that there wasn't really a significant difference in typing speed between QWERTY and Dvorak.
Hmm. So if Dvorak is so much better, why didn't it win out? Why are we still, using QWERTY?
Well, that's the big question. And Leibowitz and Margolis, they argue that it's not just about, people being resistant to change or whatever. They actually found that QWERTY has some ergonomic advantages.
Really? You mean like the way the keys are arranged?
Yeah, the way QWERTY alternates hand usage, it actually can help with speed and reduces fatigue. And for most people, people who've already learned QWERTY, learning Dvorak would be like starting from scratch.
Yeah.
All that time, all that effort to learn a new layout, it just might not be worth it, especially, if the speed gains aren't even, that big.
So the QWERTY keyboard, this thing that we just, use every day without even thinking about it, it might not be the ergonomic disaster that we always heard it is.
Yeah, it's not necessarily perfect, but it's definitely not the terrible inefficient thing that some people make it out to be.
This is pretty interesting. It's amazing how easily we just accept these simple narratives, even about something as basic as a keyboard.
For sure.
It really makes you think about all those other things that we just take for granted as true.
It's a good reminder to always be questioning things, to keep digging a little deeper, especially when it comes to those, facts that everyone just accepts.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap things up here. But, who knows? Maybe the next deep dive will uncover another one of those surprising truths that's been hiding in plain sight. Until then, thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me.